There we go. Hey, friends, we are headed to the show, but we are going to talk about stress today.
And so I never really gave stress a lot of merit, I don't think. And even though I've been through three schools of thought on functional medicine, so you've got the Functional Medicine University, you've got the Institute for Functional Medicine, and now you've got the Kalish Method Institute for Functional Medicine. And each of these three thoughts have systems and ways to start to think about the stresses on the body. Now, the interesting thing about this is they are all three different schools and they all three take stress into account. Although the Kalish method seems to put stress first, and in addressing the adrenals, and what the Institute for Functional Medicine nor the University for Functional Medicine taught me, or I didn't glean from any of it, it was that the adrenals and how important they are to secretory IgA in the gut. And so you've heard us talk before about stress and how harsh it is on the body and how it raises cortisol and blood sugar and insulin. But what are the forms of stress in your life? Those are the things that you have to identify. And so let's just take the Kalish method, for instance. He says there are three things that break down the body. You have stress, then you have food, and then you have inflammation. The Institute for Functional Medicine says you have these 7 nodes of the matrix, and you do a big questionnaire, and then you start to see what nodes of the matrix pop up, and then you can start to address them. I would have to say that the Institute for Functional Medicine is a more robust way to look at stress, but it doesn't prioritize and tell you how to get into stress. And then to Jessica's point, they really don't address the hormones, which actually none of them really address hormones. And even the Institute for Functional Medicine talked about how important the mitochondria and the hormones are. They go hand in hand. And so the mitochondria affect hormone production, and the hormones affect mitochondrial concentration, production, and strength. So what are the stressors in your body? The biggest one for me in the past has always been financial stress. And just over the last 5 to 10 years, I've done everything I can to pay everything down and to pay off and get out of debt and to stay out of debt, no credit cards and stuff like that. And it's very refreshing to have a slow time and not have to worry about, am I going to make the bills? Am I going to have to rob Peter to pay Paul and do all that stuff? And that stress affects you. And you can start to think about that stress as the stress. So for me, financial stress would wake me up at 3 or 4 in the morning and I'd just be up. And that would, I really think it goes back to our bodies wanting to survive. And if there is something that is hunting us or causing us anxiety and this, that, and the other, truck. The thing that happens is your body starts to kick out corticosteroids, or glucocorticoids more appropriately, and these things start to wake you up, get you up at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning, and you're just ready to go because early bird gets the worm, all of those old adages. But Jess, what are some of the stresses that have plagued you in the past that you've addressed?
Well, I've never had a problem really paying my bills. What stressed me out mostly was the health of my family.
So explain that and what it did to you.
So Gracie was born early, and so she just had lots of medical issues. So it was always about, is she going to survive? Is she going to make it? Is she going to thrive? So, and then along with that I was a single parent. So although I never had any problems paying my bills, I guess I always stressed about, did I have enough to pay the bills? But I was always healthy enough, and I would just work harder. So I guess I've never really worried about money per se, because I kind of led a frugal life, but mostly my stress just came from staying healthy so that I could continue to work and keeping my family healthy.
And being an outsider looking in, when we met, she's working third shift. She is pulling all-nighters all weekend long. She's sleeping about 3 hours on Sunday or Monday, and then she's taking care of everybody. And that stress that we put on ourselves, and most stress we do put on ourselves. You know, we are either, and I'm guilty of living a lifestyle that was more expensive than what I could afford. I was very guilty of that. And most Americans go through that stage. I am pretty sure from what I've talked to my patients and stuff. But, you know, the stress of keeping up with the Joneses, one of the big stressors right now, what do you think one of the big stressors right now is, Anna?
For you, for us, for me?
No, just for people in general.
I think from what I listen, most people they're always stressing about money, but I feel like a lot of times they haven't really prioritized what's important. So it's self-induced stress, really. And then I think close behind that is health, but they don't connect that their actions are actually creating that issue.
And let's think about this. Your body does not know the difference between a perceived stress and something that's actually physically happening to you. So if you're watching something, if you read things, if you watch the news, and you get that little jolt of energy or electricity, that surge of energy, you're hitting the adrenal glands. And the news and all of that stuff is just creating division.
Well, not only that, the coffee and the caffeine and the sodas and all that, you are double whammying those adrenals.
And I am totally guilty of that. I have a very, very nice coffee machine that I use to make hot water now. But it's because I don't want to tax my adrenal glands. I'll still make an espresso once in a while. I had one last weekend. But other than that, I stay away from the stimulants like the caffeine and stuff like that, because that is one of the quickest ways to tap your adrenal glands. And when I say tap, I mean just run them straight into the ground. And it's not good or healthy. What else? Food. Why is food a stressor? Well, think about the way that cortisol works in the body. Cortisol's function is to take low blood sugar and bring it up. So when it's an increase in blood sugar in the body, so you got to kind of think of it as being blind. And the cells can't see what's going on, but there are environmental indicators And so when the cells start to sense more blood sugar in the bloodstream, what happens? It says, oh, hey, something must be going on because we're no longer chill. We now have higher blood sugar. And so we must be getting ready to fight or flee. And so then the body goes automatically into that stressed state. So if you're eating high sugar foods, if you're eating simple carbohydrate foods that spike blood sugar, when you spike that blood sugar, your body goes into a stress response. And that's just the way it's designed. And when that happens, you are causing your body to wear out. And a little bit of stress is a good thing. Acute stress. It happens and it goes away. It happens and it goes away. That's okay. But when you are under the gun 24/7 and you're worried about this or you're worried about that, most of them tell me they can't shut their minds off. And when they can't shut their minds off and they can't compartmentalize, that's what keeps them from sleeping, because that keeps them in that constant state of arousal. They always have adrenaline going. They always have cortisol going, and they cannot shut down. They call it monkey mind. You call it all kinds of different things. But at some point in time, we've all had it. We've all suffered from it because, like I said, most stress is self-imposed. So food, especially foods that are high in sugar, high in carbohydrates, they mimic the stress response from just like the adrenals do. And when you stay under that, like I said, when you stay under the gun for long periods of time, then your body starts to get actually insulin resistant. So insulin starts to go up. That's how stress causes diabetes. And for guys, our testosterone will go down the aromatase pathway, and that's when we start to get the gut and we get the man boobs and all that stuff. That's aromatization of testosterone, and you really don't want that to happen. It takes away your sex drive, pulls the lead out of the pencil. Stress kind of works on the libido the same way diabetes works on the libido. What else can we say about stress? So, financial stress, food stress,
mental stress.
Well, yeah, the news and stuff like that. Go into that for them. Just tell them about it.
Mental stress?
Yeah.
Well, mental stress can be anything to anybody. What might stress you out may not stress me out. Like, I could care less if my gas tank light is on and we're empty. We're still going to roll, and the worst thing's going to happen is we're going to walk. But for some people, halfway down the gas tank, they're freaking out looking for the next gas station.
I'm a quarter of a tank guy.
So, like, the mental stress is, that's different for every single person, but it still affects everybody the same, whether you're running from a bear or you're worried about your next vacation. I don't know. But it's not good. So you need to learn to meditate, to sit with a cup of coffee or an iced tea, or relax with your friend, or go to the orchestra and listen to the music by candlelight. Whatever makes you chill, relax, and happy, do that.
When you laugh, cortisol goes down. Even if you force a smile, the body will start to respond. That deep breathing. So there's actually a very interesting...
Increases the pressure in the abdominal cavity, and it actually hits receptors.
Vagal nerve.
Yeah. So whether you're taking deep breaths or laughing, it all does the same thing.
Chris Hemsworth is doing a documentary on stress. And I think it's a Netflix documentary. And I watched the first episode of it the other day. And he had to go out on a crane, essentially. And he was, I forget how many hundreds of floors up, but he was way above it. And just the thought of it, they put him in a VR kit. And just the thought of being up there, and he consciously knew that he was on the ground, but he saw the VR helmet, and he couldn't see the ground, and they had all the monitors on him, his heart rate standing there 140 or something. I mean, it was unbelievable. And that's just the power of the mind. And you also have to remember that can work for you. The placebo effect, which is 30% of medicine, is the power of the mind. And so you can see how stress...
And that's where thinking positively, like choosing to think positively affects your health.
Well, making a plan. Just the act of sitting down and making a plan helps get rid of a lot of stress and anxiety. So she hit on a good thing with saying that the stress that affects you, and that's a mental thing. So if you get a bill, if there's a bill in the mailbox, it doesn't affect you at all until you get home and you open that bill, and then it affects you. But the bill has been there the whole time. It wasn't until you perceived it and thought about it that it started to affect you. It started to cause you stress, cause you anxiety. How am I going to pay this bill, or whatever the case may be? And it's just a commentary on society right now. It's very sad. I have a 20-something-year-old female patient who works a job, who is married, does not carry any credit card debt, no debt like that, but has a car payment on a on a 6-year-old car, has a $700 car payment on a 6-year-old car, and has 2 more years to go on it. Why do we do that to our kids? I mean, for me, I'm thinking that's almost criminal, and I'm not against a guy making a living. I really am not. But, I mean, that child, in my eyes, at 20 years old, she's still a child. That child is a slave to that payment. If she's got some hormonal issues and would like to take care of the hormonal issues, but between rent and the car payment and insurance, all of her money's gone. We had to sit down and do some life planning, life coaching there, and go through, hey, you don't have your degree, but you've thought about getting your degree. Go back and get your nursing degree, or go back and get whatever degree you want to get. And that way you can start to better yourself. But she wants to spend time with her husband, and she wants to stay home. She wants to have kids, but has been unsuccessful at this point in time from having kids, and that causes a stress.
Well, and also, if you're somebody that's doing all the things you should be doing for yourself and you still find yourself anxious or stressed, then don't necessarily go and run to medicine. Not that medicine doesn't have a part, but look a little deeper, because sometimes your adrenal glands or your hormones, or both, are off.
Well, if your adrenal glands are off, your hormones are off. Because if your adrenals are off, your thyroid's going to be off, and if your thyroid's off, your hormones are going to be off. It's
And when those things are off, that actually can create depression and anxiety.
and it'll throw off your metabolism. That's one thing. Like, I'd still like to lose another 20 pounds. And I was talking to Dr. Kalish actually Tuesday. And there was another patient who had a legit weight loss patient. I mean, this lady was coming into this other woman for weight loss. That's what she wanted to do. They threw up the adrenals, they threw up the organic acids lab, and the metabolism. The first two sections on the organic acids test, which are the Krebs cycle, which is how you produce energy, and the mitochondria, they were an absolute disaster. Now, you can go and you can fast and you can go exercise until your legs fall off, and you can force the body to do what you want it to do. And if you have no plan, as soon as you stop doing all of that stuff, it's all going to come back and then some. If you've ever trained an animal, the way you train an animal is you do not beat the animal into submission, because that animal will not trust you. Your body is no different.
Yeah, and having said that, I've update on my fasting. I'm on day 16 or 17. Not quite sure. But
And you're getting some telltale signs that your body's...
I'm getting my head hurts today, so but I feel fabulous minus the headache. I'm not hungry, and I can bend my hands. I have no joint swelling. I have no aching. I actually feel kind of fabulous.
You got your blood drawn, didn't you?
Minus the headache, and I did get my blood drawn, and it was actually beautiful.
So, and that's, so now we've got to go in next and start to look at the food allergies, but we really can't trust.
I'm getting that tested on the 28th, but I haven't actually had food, so there won't be anything in there to, false results.
I think she's going to come through it and not show any sensitivities, or very few.
But I had a pretty clean diet, so when I took out the food that I did eat, my swelling in my hand went down. So
I
kind of fascinating.
I still think you're sensitive to corn. I think you're just super.
I guess
we'll find out.
See.
Yep.
Then our plan is to just eliminate the food triggers, sensitivities, allergies, and then probably go on a very clean keto diet for a couple months, and then start weaning that back off to where we already eat, which is the paleo.
We'll tell them why we're going to do that. What we're going to do first is test her insulin, because if her insulin is good, there's no reason to go on the keto diet. But yeah, she's not going to go jump right back into a heavy diet. It's going to be a very slow process to break her body back in slowly so that it heals.
But the plan is to go until the end of the month. However, I do have a few planned meals. So in 31 days, I'll have eaten 4 meals. And I'm actually looking forward to one.
And so that's basically stress. I mean, and you can see how just the little things, if you let those bother you, then you will be stressed. And it's letting those little things go. There's a great book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, because it's all small stuff.
Well, and also it's kind of taking your power back, and you can either let your stress control you, or you can make the choice to control the stress in your life. And when you actually do that, that's actually a choice that you're making, which actually reduces.
And we're not saying ignore stuff, because if you ignore your mortgage, then they're going to come and take their house, which is a whole different type of stress. So if you have something that is very pertinent, then you have to make a plan to address that, and then start to execute on the plan. And that helps you control the stress. And just remember, you can make the best plans in the world. Life is never going to go according to plan. It's just not. I have yet to lay out a fabulous plan and have all the chips fall just how I thought they were going to fall and go from there. I mean, it just let go of perfectionism, let go of worry of stupid things. Guess what? You're not going to bring peace to the world. You're not going to change somebody's political views. You're not going to change somebody's mind. That's a good time to just smile and appreciate the differences in human beings, because we're all different, and that's what makes us great. If we were all the same, oh Lord.
It would be very much fun.
No. And everybody would have the same problems, and you wouldn't be able to help each other out. So, if you're interested in, following up and looking at some things and actually just starting to get your health on track, go ahead and hit us up, Integrated Health of Indiana, and our number is 812-346-1757. She is Mrs. Indiana Backdock at gmail.com. I am Dr. Miller at integratedhealthofindiana.com. And feel free to drop us a note, ask us any questions, and we can help you get to feeling better, doing better, and actually just enjoying life again. That's what it's all. We're here to help. That's what we're here to do. Have a great evening. Look on the Facebook pages, and we'll probably post some pictures up of the event we're going to tonight. Get outside, enjoy life, because before we know it, it'll be over, and we all end up in the same place. So might as well enjoy this one while you're doing it. Have a great night. Thank you.